Uh, One other drum really, which, and I think I probably told this story before when I did this drum, or at least I think I've done this drum. In fact, I know I've done this drum, but I can't find it. The last time I looked on the channel, I couldn't actually find it. So I'll tell you again anyway. So another drum, which is another AK. It's another one built by Adrian Kersham. It's an AK Craviotto, and I sort of came across that while I was lying in bed one night when the NARM show was on a few years ago, whenever they came out. 24. God, that would have been about 2014, I think. Yes, it was the 10th anniversary. It was the 10th anniversary snare drum, basically. There's only 25 of these, and there's probably I know that there's at least 2 in the UK, but with there's many more than that, if any, I don't know. But there's certainly 2 in the UK. Mine and the fella that was trying to sell his a while back. But I was lying in bed watching all these NARM videos, and Steve Maxwell, actually it wasn't Steve Maxwell, it was Mike Dolbear was going around, or it might have actually been Simon Egg, who's on behalf of Mike, who's basically Simon's the editor of MikeDolbear.com. And they're going around all the booths, and then there's this snare drum, and I'm like, my God, I've got to have one of those. Because I had, obviously a collection of Craviottos at the time. That would have been the absolute pinnacle of that collection. So I messaged Steve Maxwell, I emailed him, and Steve was always pretty good then. He came back to me in a matter of minutes. He said, you know what, I've got one drum left in my allocation. I'll go back and say, right, I'll have it. Knowing full well that it's going to cost, possibly $3,000 or $4,000. I'm like, okay, it's a lot of money, but it's just like, I've got to have that drum. I just have to have one. And I think I telling my wife was, trying to send her to sleep because she finds my talking about drums generally very, very boring. And so I've got to have one. And I'm like, I'll take it. And the one thing that generally most people who have got like half an ounce of sense will have asked before making a commitment like that, when you know something is going to be expensive. I don't live in that realm. I didn't then either. I certainly don't now, but I don't live in that realm where money is not an object. And admittedly, I had a bit more money than saved up for various things, but I didn't ask the question, how much? And it was probably a good job that it was about midnight at that point, and I was in bed already, and I was laying down when he came back to me and said, yep, I'll do that for you. I can do it for $7,000. And as I said, it was probably a good job that I was laying down at the time, because I just committed to spending a shed load of money on something. And it's just like, oh, God. And the emotions that I was talking about earlier on in this video about having second thoughts and things, that really did kick in like on steroids at that point. I'm like, God, what have I just committed to? And, I paid him anyway. I don't think I paid him up front. I mean, he took a deposit, and then I sorted the money out. And I think I got a loan for it. I can't actually completely remember. I don't think I would have paid him outright in cash. I mean, I probably would have given him the deposit in cash, but I don't think I had that much money lying around at that point to just commit. I mean, even in sterling, that was about $5,000. But that was not. It wasn't my biggest snare drum buying mistake or anything. But it was certainly the biggest shock, because in all the video that I'd watched to that point, and all the written stuff I could find on it at that point, no one had mentioned the cost. And I knew, as I said, I knew it wasn't going to be cheap. but I was kind of expecting it to come in at the sort of 3,000 or 4,000 mark. And not the 7. In fact, actually, he did it for me. He even did it at a discount for me. He did it shipped for 7,000. They were actually selling them for 7.5. But I've been a good customer of Steve's up until that point. I said I've bought stuff, a good few bits off of him since. But I've probably spent more money with Steve Maxwell than I have any other drum shop ever anywhere. Yeah, I mean that was a tough one to sort of get over. As I said, good job I was laying down at the time. But you know what? I've got the drum. In fact, it's actually sat in the other room, not too far away from me. It's a cracking drum. It is a great drum. It's not my, it's a beautiful drum. I love it for what it is. But I still think that the AK Triumphal is a much better looking drum in basically every way. The anniversary drum might be more playable for me because it's got thicker hoops on it and everything. But yeah, that was the single biggest drum purchase I've ever made, ever. And certainly for the foreseeable future, that'll be the biggest purchase I will make. I cannot foresee me spending that much money on anything in the very near future or even medium-term future. I don't have the money, and you know what? Actually, right now I don't have the inclination either. But that was. Boy, that was painful at the time. It really was,